Alright, y'all, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since I reacted to Lindsay Nicole. Let's see what she talking about today. It's been a long time since I uploaded on this channel. But yeah, let's dive into it, see what she talking about.
Do you spend most of your day in a cold, dark room isolated from others?
Every single day.
I have the perfect neighborhood for you. The bottom of the ocean. Come live in the Mariana Trench. At a depth of 36,000 feet, it has all the amenities you're looking for. Cold, dark, and desolate. Come take a tour of this lovely deep-sea community you have the chance to call home. I'll give you a brief history of the region, introduce you to some of the locals, and outline every reason why you should come live in the Mariana Trench. You might be wondering why anybody would be interested in developing real estate in an underwater chasm. Well, according to this study in 2018, deep sea environments cover more than 65% of the Earth's surface and more than 95% of the global biosphere. And since the Mariana Trench contains the deepest point that we know of, there's a lot of opportunity. We don't know that much about the ocean. Let me start off by giving you a bird's eye view of your respective neighborhood, or as we like to call it, the trench, is 1,580 miles of untapped abyss, right off the coast of the Mariana Islands in the Northwest Pacific Ocean. It is a stunning landscape, right on the edge of a subduction zone, where two tectonic plates collide, one sliding underneath the other. This is of no concern to you. If you decide to come live with us in the trench, we can almost guarantee that you will not be shoved underneath the Earth's crust. I mean, look at the San Andreas Fault in California. With the right morale, we believe the Mariana Trench can become home to the next Silicon Valley. Hell, even the next Hollywood. Let me give you a little historical context of the region. The Mariana Trench is home to some of the oldest seafloor that we know of, about 180 million years old. But its depth wasn't discovered until very recently in the human timeline. Humans have been measuring the depth of water for forever, since at least ancient Egypt that we know of. But the first documented attempt to find the deepest point comes from the year 1521. The famous Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, what a 16th century name that is, had a few hundred meters of sounding line, which is a weighted line with measurements on it. He lowered it over the side of his boat in an unspecified location and realized he had run out of sounding line before he could reach the bottom. His conclusion? That he must have found the deepest point on Earth.
Sometimes my genius it's almost frightening.
As centuries went on and technology advanced, we learned that that was obviously not the case. What? And eventually attention was turned to our beloved Mariana Trench. In 1875, aboard the HMS Challenger, the trench was measured with a much longer sounding line to a depth of 26,850 feet. And in 1900, they found a spot with a depth of 28,877
They measured the distance with radio waves.
And about
now,
50 years later, a new technique was used. Explosives and an echo sound, which proceeds as such. Explode some shit. Count how many seconds it takes for the acoustic signal to bounce off the ocean floor and back. Then boom, you've got an estimated depth. This sounds pretty noisy and potentially dangerous. I know, no need to fret though, because since then even more developed sonar and pressure sensing technologies have
that's what I meant,
this
sonar.
barbaric approach.
I guess it is radio waves,
ain't it? No disturbance to you at all. They've determined
so.
that the maximum depth of the Mariana Trench is 36,036 feet, give or take 80 feet. In this particular location, where you can of course visit at any time during your stay with us, as you enter the gates of your prospective neighborhood, you'll notice a stunning monument dedicated to Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh and Swiss engineer Jacques Picard, pioneers who were the first humans to ever visit the bottom of this trench. In 1960, they descended to a depth of 35,797 feet below the surface of the ocean.
In the submarine?
Or something like an underwater blimp. Their journey to the bottom lasted about 5 hours as they watched small, bioluminescent creatures go by out their window, reminiscent of upside-down snow. This display is one of the many amenities we can provide our residents all year round. If you're familiar with the story of Walsh and Picard, you probably know that the two explorers experienced a crack in the window of their ship due to the immense pressure at the bottom of the trench that is powerful enough to compress the human body into a bite-sized chunk of flesh. This is probably of no concern to you. The crack had absolutely no effect on them while inside the vessel. And to ease your mind even further, 2 people have taken trips to even deeper points since then, aboard even more developed vessels, and had absolutely no problems at all. Canadian filmmaker James Cameron became the first person to reach the bottom of the trench solo in 2012, aboard this lovely 24-foot tall tower of a submarine. He reached a depth of 35,756 feet.
Anything
and in 2019,
go wrong, you
Victor Vescovo reached an even deeper point of 35,853 feet during his 5 Deeps expedition, where he reached the deepest points of all 5 oceans. And I'll let you in on a little secret. He told me personally, the spokesperson of Mariana Trench Realty, that this particular trip down to the Mariana was his personal favorite. Ship durability will luckily be of no concern to you though, as we require all of our residents to undergo just one slightly invasive procedure. To live in this lovely deep sea oasis, all you have to do is remove your skeleton.
The design is very human.
This will ensure that your bones don't dissolve at the bottom of the sea floor. It will also combat the increased pressure that I mentioned, which is just under 16,000 pounds per square inch. Once the operation is complete,
If
that
it
increased
does.
pressure will be but a mere weighted blanket everywhere you go. Nice and cozy. Becoming a fluid sack of flesh will also help you feel more at home with the locals. Allow me to introduce you to a few of them. The sea pigs, one of the many adorable groups of sea cucumbers you'll find in abundance on the sea floor. They're formerly known as the holothurians, and you might be surprised to know that in many
Never
deep
heard
sea
of these.
ecosystems, they're the dominant invertebrate group, accounting for 90% of their ecosystem's biomass.
Dang.
Holothurians, like the sea pigs, are equipped with tube feet to help them move
why are
around and
they
get a sense
sea
of their
pigs?
surroundings. Some sea cucumbers in the trench even
they
take on the
eat?
role
I
of
don't know.
performance artists. You can occasionally find them doing a little salsa. We also have sea anemones, which might sometimes be a little bit bigger than what you'd expect on the surface, like this one. Their tentacles extend to 6 feet long, much farther than you'd expect.
Why would they
Reminiscent
need
of
that?
the elegant big fin squid
Yeah,
that gets
that's
to
what I
over
was thinking
20
about.
feet long and peruses the water surrounding our stretch of trench. You'll also find that these locals occasionally help each other out, like this anemone hitching a ride on a hermit crab, really epitomizing that community vibe
I
we're going for here in the Mariana
thought the
Trench.
whole
There's
thing
also
with the
acorn worms that at first glance you might mistake for some
Yeah.
invertebrate carcass, and for good reason. They have
Nah, I
no
thought
eyes
it was
and no
something
brain.
else.
Doesn't that sound nice?
Nice.
They spend their days sucking up layers of mud that collect on deep sea lava flows. Best to leave them be, and I will not be hearing anybody out. One of the most alien-like groups you'll find in our community are the xenophyophores, also known as the giant amoebas. You might be familiar with the brain-eating amoebas that are sometimes found in stagnant water at our planet's surface. Luckily, these seem to be completely different and much larger. In fact, xenophyophores are the
Is it
largest
squishy or
single-celled
is it-
animals on the planet
I
that
don't
we
know.
know of, reaching over 4 inches in size. For a single cell, that is gargantuan. We're lucky to have them in the neighborhood. And one of my personal favorites, the dandelion siphonophores. Absolutely darling if you ask me. Despite being surrounded by soft-bodied life forms,
Yo,
you
see, stuff, yo,
included,
that's
the
just
trench community
nasty
does have
looking.
some members of the skeletal variety. Amphipods, such as Hirandelia gygas, are some of our more innovative residents.
Like a
They figured
string.
out how to incorporate aluminum into their exoskeleton by extracting aluminum ions from the seafloor mud that they swallow while feeding on plant material and turning it into a gel-like barrier that prevents their armor from dissolving under the pressure. The Steve Jobs of the trench.
So
if
they-
you will.
so they
Trench
equipped
jobs.
armor.
We also have some relatives here that you might have heard of.
Playing the
Giant
video game.
amphipods that can get to over a foot long, about 20 times larger than your typical amphipods. We also have some of the endoskeleton variety that tend to stay in some of the higher levels of our trench community. The pressure always gets them, which is why you'll be grateful to have opted out of your skeleton entirely. These are groups such as the arrowtooth eels, deep sea lizardfish, cusk eels, which are
Lizardfish.
just adorable, and probably the most impressive of them all, the Mariana snailfish, the deepest
The
living fish in the
snailfish.
Mariana Trench that we know of, at up to 26,200
Alright, at least it
feet
don't look
below the
ugly
surface
like
of
the
the
other
ocean.
joints
These
she
tiny,
showed.
scaleless vertebrates are some of the top predators of our community, going deeper than any of their competitors due to adaptations like gaps in their skulls and mostly cartilaginous skeletons. to
But what would
combat
they
our
eat
higher
if they go
pressures.
that
Now let me
deep?
assure you, we do not expect you to consume the local fauna. We've taken great measures to ensure we disrupt the native ecosystem as little as possible. We also, transparently, have no idea what would happen to your digestive system if you choose to indulge. So instead, we are currently constructing the first ever, one-of-a-kind, Deep Sea Margaritaville, open 24/7 and supplied with all your favorite dishes from the surface, such as the Rancho Deluxe Burger, and my favorite, the coconut shrimp. I know, it almost seems too good to be true. I will admit, life in the trench can get pretty monotonous. Perfectly understandable that you'd want to go out on a weekend getaway from time to time. And luckily, there are neighboring trenches for you to explore, where you can
Yes,
see
let's
creatures
travel
such
to
as the
another
ET
trench.
sponge, which, as you can see, exists on a stalk. Their bodies
sponge.
orient themselves to face the currents that carry food particles into their
Yeah, they
other
join, they sell
worldly
at the store
bodies.
for you to
It's like
wash the
visiting outer
dishes.
space, all from the comfort of your own abyss. If this weekend getaway intrigues you, allow me to introduce you to the Forest of the Weird, a slightly longer trip than a weekend. I'd suggest taking a few days off work to get the most out of this experience.
Just
Only
a few
3,200
days,
miles from
okay.
the Mariana Trench sits a jungle of glass sponges and unusual corals. They all face the same direction, for the current, and provide a lovely paradise for brittle stars and crustaceans of the deep. As someone who loves retreating into your icebox at the end of the day, I'm sure this locale is checking off all your boxes, and I'm willing to bet there's just one more amenity to cover: white noise. We have plenty of that here in the
Nah, I
trench.
can't
Just like you'd
stand
expect
white
on the
noise.
surface, you can always rely on the sounds of the environment to keep you grounded in reality, such as the sound of baleen whales passing overhead, or chimes from the propeller of a ship 6 miles above you, and even the occasional earthquake that tends to frequent this area of the seafloor. You'll always have sounds from incomprehensible distances away to look forward to. And as the years go
And
by,
depth
you can watch
surrounding
this
you.
deep sea community get better and better. Research will be happening all around you, especially with the debut of our new self-powered soft robots. Inspired by the structure of deep sea snailfish, these withstand the pressures of the deep with ease, allowing for better control and maneuverability, making deep sea research more accessible. Maybe someday they'll be adapted to wash the dishes for you. The possibilities are endless. If you like what you see and want to sign up for bottom dwelling living, be sure to let me know in the comments, like this video, and subscribe. Next time we'll be covering covering another vacation getaway you might be familiar with, Goo Lagoons. And for now, stay
Goo
curious. The world
Lagoon.
has a lot for us to learn. See ya!
Yeah, that's funny she said Goo Lagoon, because I've been watching a lot of them SpongeBob theories lately on YouTube. I'll be watching them at night. It's so many weird ones out there, man. Yeah, yeah, but I can't wait for that video though. But if y'all like the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what y'all want to see me react to next, and I'll see you on the next one.